if you are looking for a developer job or your project need to recruit some developers, so you may approach our staff at LT16. So there will be a job board. Yeah. So let's begin our next talk. So our next speaker is Ivan Ma. He's coming from Oracle MySQL, one of our general sponsors. So his topic is HA capability with document store using MySQL Shell running Python. So Ivan, please.
Hi, hello everybody. My name is Ivan Ma. So I work for Oracle. MySQL is one of the products that Oracle acquired since 2010. So if you know that MySQL has been around for many years, so since 1998, 95. So up to today, you can see that it has been almost 22, actually more than 22 years. And after Oracle acquisitions, so since 2010, so up to today, is more than 7 years. So it's still open, and you can see a lot of things happening. And it's not just stop one place and then move nowhere. It's actually happening a lot of effort, a lot of investments, and then so today I hope I can give you a talk about what we can actually do. Like there are big data, data science, analytics, and one of the things that we do that is so-called document store. So I heard if you were in this room, last sections is talking about JSON. JSON is kind of we call it is kind of structure to define unstructured document. It's not an unstructured thing. It's actually structure, right? We try to structurize kind of the data. So this is JSON, and then that's why we have the document. And for the document, we can actually look at XML in the past. That's also kind of structured document, but JSON is one of the type. And today, I will be actually illustrate the one of the capability using MySQL, and the name is talk about the MySQL Shell. So what it is, MySQL Shell, and let's move ahead and then see what we can do more. So do you know what is the current version of MySQL today? Any specific things that you have been hearing around? So are you using MySQL, or do you know MySQL? Yes, right? 5.6. Yeah, 5.6, I heard that. So the latest one, what version it is? 5.7. So it is 5.7. And the coming up actually is the 8.0. 8.0. So you may have questions, why we have a big jump? Is it a good number? So 8 for 香港人, it is really a good number. 8, we all want to be rich. That's why it's 8. No, actually the version 5 has been around for many years, and we have been using the version 5 for 5.6, 5.7, and 5.7. They are all major versions, but we just stopped at the 5. That's the single digit. But we also have the MySQL 6 and MySQL 7, and that actually they are the versions that we use in the InnoDB cluster. We have two streams of product. One is the server, as like standalone and single server, but as its own single server, and they can actually build into a replication high availability capability. And the other way, we have another so-called InnoDB cluster, which we are not trying to cover today. And it's actually used the version 6, 7, and the current version is 7.5. So if we try to use the MySQL 6.0 or something, that actually overlap with some other products. That's why we skip the 6 and 7, and then we move to 8.0. So this is just a general update to you. And let's look at this. We are actually in this, what is the conference name for today? Python, right? So I put the focus, how we can leverage Pythons to do things. MySQL is not just for Python, is actually open to many languages, and Python is one of those. And Python is actually very strong today, and people use it and very easy to use it. Or in the past year, I did some, for example, using Python with kind of framework to create kind of the web applications, like use the Flask, which is very simple, but there are a lot more. Okay, so today let's get introductions about what is the so-called document store and what are the components that we, MySQL, okay, provide in order to get the so-called document stores to work. Okay, one of the things that we have been talking is MySQL is relational database. Relational database, if you are in the IT or doing whatever computer science, you may actually heard a lot of so-called normal form, right? Normal form, third normal form, whatever normal form. So I did this like classes for many years. That actually tries to provide avoiding redundancy and change something that actually change everything, right? So we don't want to change one table and the other table has the redundancy and then duplicate the data and then leave it alone and then we all has the data conflicts. So, but that was actually the only day we all try to create automation system or operational system or your retail or OLTP system. Relational database has been very good at this, but maybe today we also do some other things like data science. So what we do is to export the data from this OLTP system and then transport it to where? Some other things. And then there are some other so-called low SQL or whatever try to do data cleansing and then to extract, to transform, and then process the data. And all this in the other words, reporting. It tries to get some kind of report, analysis, data science to judge what we do better. So in this area, the data is quite stable, it's quite static, right? So today, when we talk about kind of the document store, sometimes, okay, that on one hand, the document is very stable. We don't do a lot of update by itself, okay, one type. Then may be a case we all the way submit document, but we don't change document. But the other way, we may change document on the way. So there are two different kinds. How we do that? Let's do it. Okay, that's why we have a kind of other approach how we manage the data in so-called document store and how we access the data. Okay, in table we do select, update, delete, or whatever. That's the very traditional way of relational database. And in document store we do the other things: create, modify, find, collections. Okay, that's the other very trendy application philosophy or some other ways to do trendy application development. So we also provide so-called the XDEF API. So let's look at it and also try to compare how the document transformed into SQL. So we try to map it for you and then see behind the scene what is actually done in the database. Let's look at what the document store is. So as a document I mentioned, it may be XML, it may be something else, but JSON is the way what we today to talk about. JSON. So you can see we have all this JSON documents right there. And then it is a representation of this very complex informations and objects. And then JSON is JavaScript notation and put everything together, and it is quite dynamic. And we use that for what? Data exchange, and also, if you do mobile application, a lot of things you process on the mobile, and then you send it up to your server, and it is JSON, but only for one instance in many cases. So up to the server, what you do, you may store it, and then it is whole set of data in 1, 2, 3, 4, a set of JSON documents. It's not one document, it's the whole bunch of documents together. And that you process not one single instance of JSON document. is tons of documents in a database. That's how we process all these documents together and relate to another kinds of document. So at the back end, how we can do this? And then so we have the document store. On one hand, we have the traditional application, which we see data in the so-called tables. On the other hand, you may process the data with JSON. How can this be actually linked together? Do you want this to be a single place or multiple places? A single place, you have the tables, you have the document together, but the other way is all this like OLTP and the data originated from OLTP application, and then you do that, okay, with your application and put the data in the database. And then the other way is you process the data from another kind of storage. So how can you get the data into this group of document store? You extract, process, put it into the database. So if there is a good way that you merge them together, that's the benefit. That you don't do this by itself. This actually, we want some sort of transparency. Okay? And you may want the document referring like customer ID, customer name, okay? All this information, all the way we all believe that is in the OLTP system in the table. So can you just relate to the tables and just do it the same way? And then how can you protect and as like integrity? When people create a document, that customer is just be there and then it's not anything wrong. There is kind of in relational database, we call it foreign key. How can this be actually in this kind of system from the OLTP and linked to the document store? That's the beauty. And then we put all this together in one single place, right? So as like this document store database, you can see relational as tables, and JSON is a whole bunch of things. In the tables, the three table mapping, we group them into one single document. Okay. From relational, we merge them into like with the primary key, foreign key. If that actually we put it into ER diagram, entity relational diagram, then we can see clearly. And JSON is another type, but just one layer, the other layer, and then group them together. So, what is the document store? And now we have the document store on the server. We have the JSON storage. On the server, we have the plugin. On the server, we have the plugin. And then you can see that as of today, we have the 5720. And the JSON can be one of the data type that you create a table. It's just one of the data type that you can store JSON. And 8.0 is the coming up new version. And we have the release candidate. Release candidate, it means that sometime later, okay, the GA version will be coming. But it is just very close to it. Okay, it's not no longer like beta, no longer alpha, but actually the features, the functions is all settled and it's all there. We just released that version. So you see that we have the JSON to store in the MySQL. We can access the so-called JSON using standard SQL statements. We can also use another kind of trendy API. We call XDEF API or the other low SQL interfaces to access the data. So how is that? So as a component on the server side, we have the plugin. The server is able to store JSON data. The server with the JSON data you have to access, but to access, we have some sort of JSON functions. How you actually talking about JSON path, and then how to get the in-between specific components of the JSON data. We also have new syntax, not just function, like pointer, pointer, pointer. Okay, new syntax to access directly a column into the JSON document specific field. So that's new syntax. They are all in the server side. How can we administrate? We use MySQL Shell. How can we access? We have the API. Either this is the SQLL or the X protocol. And we have the plugin, we have the dev API. And for the application, how can the application work with the database using that kind of API? That we call connectors. In Java, JDB is driver. Okay, connectors on MySQL is just kind of the other way we talk about driver. So for Python, this Python driver or Python connector. In PHP connector. In .NET connector. In Java, JDB is driver. So they are all, we call it and group it into one single word, connector. So look at this in the other way. So we have the 5.7 version 8.0, so JSON data type is there and JSON function is there. The plugin is there. Why the plugin? The plugin is there because a lot of things has to work different way, and it has to run in parallel instead of SQL statement. Traditional way of SQL statement is very procedural. Procedural, or the other way, execute this and execute the other, and execute the other, one by one. But X protocol is different. We may execute in parallel, and then we can roll back, we can stop that. So this is another way. That's why X plugin is there. X protocol, dev API, and shell to administrate and connector. So you look at the document store in a big pictures. So the big pictures, you look at right there. Right there. Here in this here, we call it InnoDB cluster. We call it HA. So for database, HA is a matter. So data is kind of our investment and our property. So you lose the data, you lose something. You lose money. Okay, you lose your brand, you lose your company brand. So data must be protected. And the other way here, how we actually, the Python or the other languages to work with the server. We go through kind of a component, either it's load balancer or the other, we call it router, and then talks to the backend. So they are tightly coupled, and the document store for HA capability and also scalability. Because when we process data, it may be just one server, but a lot of time processing can be scaled by having more machines. How can this be done? So when this actually created, we can put 3 servers together and they have 3 copies of data. And then if you have more processing, then you add 2, 3, 4, 5 servers. So that's the scalability we talk about. And then we can move more boxes and then into this so-called InnoDB cluster. So the data is easy to store in the whole structure of servers. And then data can also be sharded in some way because when we talk about sharding, table may not be a really good way to shard, but document is different. Document, every document is a piece of data on its own. So if we talk about sharding, document is a very good way to shard data because every piece is one individual. You want this here, they will get the whole big picture of the data. And it will be all in one single server. So sometimes when we talk about sharding, that may be a good idea. Look at the document store. So look at the HA part, and then this is also the way how we use the MySQL Shell or Python to create the HA capability. So instead of doing the demo, I skipped that because today not long. Yeah, timing is not enough. So I try to skip it, but the idea is to create the so-called InnoDB cluster with Python. And then assuming we have that, and then later on I do it the other way. So for the XDEV API, the document store, you can see that, so CRUD, create, modify, or whatever. So that's the basic capability of the document. Look at this. When we have a MySQL Shell connects to it, we can use sections that don't get schemas. And then you can see that's not really clear. Let me try to get this a better way. Color. Yeah, the background color.
Wow.
Yes. That's much better, right? Okay. So let's just put a few examples and then you know what that is. So you see, it is easy to use Python, and it's easy to switch to JavaScript, easy to switch to Python. So this is the way the MySQL Shell is running. It's multi-language. So you can this so-called polygons. And with the Python, we have the section. We can actually get a specific schemas, and the schemas that we can actually look at this, and then we see the database actually connected, and then it has multiple schemas, and then we can actually specifically look at, for example, the MyDB as a variables, and then we just connect to a database. And that database, MyDB, will be just right there. And then we can get the tables, get the collections, and then here or there, you see a lot of things that we can use this. Okay, I have two collections right there. I can create collections, and then just simply by using the database, and here, create collections. Hello world. And then the collection has one more. And then I can add more documents into it. So the collections has the hello world, hello. You see that this is the document. I can remove it, I can find it, I can sort it, I can limit, and I can execute, I can modify. So this is the way what we mean by document, and it is dynamic. It is no longer, we talk about the table has fixed column, 2 columns, 3 columns. This is kind of so-called the schema or tables if you're still using the relational concept, but the number of columns is very flexible. Right now you see number of columns, 2 columns, but in a sense, can we do more? It is just easy to add the other one. The other row and other rows that we have my ID 1, 2, 3. So 2 rows, name is the same, hello. Hello world. But the second rows, what is it? The data is different, right? So number of columns, each row, the number of so-called columns, they are different. So this is so-called very flexible. So why we need this kind of JSON concept? For example, Uber. So we know Uber is what? So you take taxi, you don't like it. Okay. Uber is doing the database schema using JSON. And how can they do that? And why do they actually do this in JSON format? Because every day they change the idea how we profile a user. okay, every day we may add some more attributes to relate to it. Okay, you're rich, okay, and you have even better, okay. The rich is talking about not just money, it's talking about how much you have and how many cars you have, okay. So they may add some more properties to relate, okay. But how can this be done? If using traditional table, it's really difficult, and to change the table and day by day. Table concept in the past may be good for very well designed. In the past, for SAD and whatever, if you heard kind of the design model. So it's a long process to facilitate you create a program that runs for 10 years. Is that still happening today? We create the application today, tomorrow we change it. So what we do, a lot of prototyping, a lot of data type change. So JSON is another wave, another good trend and hype. We are actually moving forward. So here, and get back to it, and then you see that there's this kind of example, get collection, and then as long as I type things like this, that means it's the Python. You can create the same text in the Python program and then access in the same way, and then your Python application using the connector, the same way I'm putting the syntax right there. So this is just another example that I did it, okay. Whatever, get collection or add, modify, and then you can see I have already done that. And then you can actually find and then filter the data because like select statement, we have the where clause. You want to find a specific record, right? We want to find a specific record. So as another example, maybe I have more data right here. So my DB get collections, and then right here, my DB has the country info, and it has so many data. I typed wrong? Double info. So many data, it's too much to see. So we can actually limit it, but too much. And then just one line, one record, limit. Or we can actually find, okay, put in the criteria, say the criteria surface area, okay, it's like equal to 193. So how is that? Surface area. Oh, because it is actually under the geography. Okay, so this is like criteria that we can put in very across. So that's less or equal. Oh, still a lot. Anyway, you understand that we can put in where clause and in or whatever. So this is idea, and also we can modify. So how good this is, and then this is the way we program application and to have this embed into your Python applications, right? So more or less you can add, and then more complicated, execute, sort, and then for whatever you can just do help. Okay, for example, you don't know exactly what kind of methods we have. Of course, you can find documentation. But other than that, if this, do we have anything that after this we can run? This is here, or after the find. Because that's the result set. What else we can do? Create index. You can see that create index and something. And also, the beauty of this document is you have another way to look at it from the SQL statements. So if I go back to the MySQL, later on I change the color. the hello world is there. And then I can select statement. So on one way, the new application is doing things with the document. On the other side, you have traditional application, which is still using SQL and then running data. And the SQL statement can select a specific, select surface area, okay? And then just pop up there. Surface area, which I did it with the where clause define statement. And also you can use the select statements to do this. You can update, you can query, you can remove data. So traditional way, you do this, and the new trendy way, you do that. So this actually the beauty, you merge the beauty of, okay, the traditional app and the trendy app that you do today. So all the way, this is another complicated and whatever, and you only want some other fields, and then you want to sort it and execute. So that's the practice. I believe you have been doing that kind of programming. Have anyone, whatever? Yes. So this is not something new, right? But just to show you, it is still, you can use it with MySQL. So modify set, so not something new, okay? But to MySQL, it's new. But the good thing is, you can do both. Okay, remove it. So you can see that we support that in different, languages. Okay, no matter what. Okay, PHP, Python for today. And look at the MySQL 8.0, which will be released very soon. Okay, now we are getting ready to this, and I was trying to build the demo, but time is limited, and I think it's about time to conclude. So, just behind the scene, what it is doing. So when we create a collection, what it does is actually the two-column table, and with index or whatever. Okay, so the table will be created like this: ID and data. That's the way itself at the back. And then SQL statement, when we talk about find or whatever, it's actually translated into SQL statement and then getting data from at the back. And modify it the same way. And more than that, we can build virtual column. Extract the JSON data, a specific surface area, which is very complicated to look at it. Okay, the JSON path. But instead of talking about this JSON path, we can define a column as a table, and then that can build the index and to speed up the processing speed. Build the index and then select by this specific column. And also build foreign key as well. So you can see as a relational and one-to-one, and there's two tables to one specific one. And then relational to JSON, so you can see select statement, we can select the object, and then this one is just JSON document. So we provide a way SQL statement to return JSON document. We also, this is another new syntax as that pointer. Okay, so this one is like functions. This one is like alternative syntax using like pointer to access the internal fields. So behind the scene, you can see that for create collection, it's actually create like this. Okay, at the back. The final two slide. Insert app data, you actually translate into this. Very simple. Okay, find select statement into the database. Okay, takeaway. I have gone through the very trendy way of document store in MySQL, and the beauty is to merge the beauty between relational and the NoSQL with document store. I hope you enjoy these sections. Any questions? I think one or two.
Is it possible to have constraint on virtual columns?
Is
constraint? Yeah, like for example, like in traditional databases, you could say this field should be greater than this, right?
Yes.
And then it's actually a very, very nice idea that you could have foreign key or unique statement indexes on virtual columns, right, on some columns inside. How about constraints?
Yes, this is what for one thing, we can build trigger as well.
Yeah.
So whenever you insert one thing, and that can actually be referring to the others. And virtual column, we have one is so-called virtual, one is stored. Virtual is on the fly to calculate. That you cannot do much. But if this is so-called the stored, that materialize the data into the database, then you can do foreign key and you can do other things. You can do constraint. Yes.
In terms of data searching data, so how is the performance difference between NoSQL and the traditional relational database?
This is like apple and orange, okay? But the way is, we try to enhance the performance of the document, okay? Because do you like apple or do you like orange? They are two different things because they structure in a different way. But no matter what, this like the orange, the document, we need to provide a good and fast access to the data. That's why we provide the in-place data update into the JSON document. Okay, and also how can we access the data internal as like a very big objects. Okay, it's not just super varchar, it's very binary. So this is internally configured and newly created objects, and then we try to perform faster. Okay, so apple and orange comparison.
How do you compare this MySQL and also MongoDB? It's slightly like MongoDB, the syntax and yeah.
It is not something we call like or not like because this is something in the industry people do things in this way and that way, right? So we try to combine the both world. Okay, they can do maybe good in here, but they cannot do good in the other way. And then they are still on the startup with like OLTP. As OLTP, where do you store the database? And then how can you scale? How can you provide the reliability? MySQL is proven, okay, for like reliability today. Okay, why I can say this? You see many big companies using MySQL. Okay, no matter this is PayPal, no matter this is okay, yeah, Tencent or whatever. Okay, even the bank. Okay, I've been working. They are using and then storing critical data. So it is proven. So Mongo a lot of time is like data science. You lose the data, okay, no problem. Right? That kind of system, lose, no problem, and then you do it the other day. Right? So I'm not saying they are not truly reliable, but you are they're still startup, okay, in that area. They're trying to catch up on the OLTP, where the data is from. Is from the traditional data store.
Can I do a table joining between document and JSON?
Okay, so from the SQL statement, yes. Okay, from the SQL statement, you can join between these two, from the SQL statement. But from the no SQL, okay, the other side, this is because the other table is not in JSON format. So it is not about join. So the new way of doing things, you do not refer to table. Okay, but you are talking about join, it's the traditional way. Yes, it works. Okay, I think we are about to stop here. So I pass the stage back to organizer.
Thank you. So up next we will have our lightning talk section. So for any individuals, yeah, or any. Thank you. If you have more questions, you may ask Ivan in person. Yeah. So our next session is called lightning talk. So for any individuals or group who want to present their projects, share their thoughts, whatever, you may come and approach with our staff and register here. So yeah, please feel free to do so. Don't be hesitant. So.
即係話餅，嗰個要唔要有筆啊？marker 啊，嗰度有個架㗎，好似。